your powers a weak, old man.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thursday Night Live with Bill Tucci.
Behold his mighty hand.
Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang.
Just want to manage expectations.
Moo! Nah!
This is the worst.
What's up, everybody? Sorry for the little brief interlude we had here. I had a problem with my cat. Cat got in. Dog chased her up. So had a little, I call it an interlude. Hope everyone's doing good tonight. We got a great show for you tonight. Breaking news. My God, lots going on in the past hour or so. But I want to say hello to everybody out there. You know, you got Dan Genovese. Good to see you. Gray Wolf. Good to see you. Carlos. Good to see you. Marcus, of course. Kelligrew, as always, great to see you. Evil One, always great to see you too. Beards Mason, a lot of people out there. 118 eyes, 120 eyes. It keeps going up. Guys, smash that like button, please. And we got a very special show tonight. We're going to go about 45 minutes, maybe to an hour. And then we're going to talk about the things of the day. A lot of news going on in comics, but even more news going on in this country. I want to talk about that. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce not our main guest, but I have a special guest, secret guest. So we're going to invite this person to come in first, and then we're going to introduce our main guest for the show. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, or a don't, how about the one, the only, Mr. Ethan Van Sciver?
Hi, Billy. Hello.
Hello, Ethan. How are you?
I'm good. I'm okay. Messing with my gain though, because it's really annoying. My voice is shattering people's nerves. I'm concerned about this. As a man of great empathy, the last thing I want to do is have a voice that shatters people's nerves, Billy.
But you can't help it.
I can. It's this microphone. Now hold on a second. Let me see. No, that's better. That's softer. That's
It's
more
softer, but I like the deeper. I like the more biting.
Like this, Billy? Do you like this? This is good. That's what the game is.
I want the Jersey, Ethan Van Sciver. Anyway, today, I think you sound terrific. I think you look great. Unlike me, I have a face for radio. We'll all admit that, but I'm okay with it. Anyway, I think we should talk today because today we have a lot going on today. As I was saying earlier, we have a lot of things going on in the comics industry, entertainment industry, but breaking news. It seems that legal gymnastics and out of control attorneys generals, district attorneys have maybe led little of these legal gymnastics into lawfare, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Not warfare, but lawfare. So a lot of crazy stuff, but we got one of our boys is on. Great friend to both of us, a great man, a great creator. Would you like to do the honors and introduce our pal here?
No.
All right, then I'm going to do it. Good, because I didn't want you to do it anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, our friend who just got up, who's in his brand new studio, who's kicking ass with his new book, Godlike, and well, hell, let's have everyone, Mr. Jon Malin. What's up, John?
Hello. Hi,
Hello,
guys.
John.
Hello, Ethan.
John, thank you so much for coming on. This is the third episode of Thursday Night Live with Billy Tucci, and I was talking to Denial the other day, and I'm like, John, I don't know if you remember, but you were one of our first guests on Crowdfunding Comics 3 years ago or so.
Excellent.
Yeah, we haven't had you on for a while. So like, we need Malin. We need Jon Malin because I don't spend enough time with you.
Well,
Too many other
glad to be
people.
here, Billy. Thank you.
Well, thank you. A nice hat. You guys are all matching. I have the same hat.
Oh, yeah. I like
Should I? Look, we all have the same. Oh, well, mine's the original hat.
That's nice. That looks good on you. I've never seen it before. Like,
Yes, you have.
I've never seen you wear it. That's nice.
yes. It's big. It's. I got the large. It's big.
It's too big for you.
A little big. You know, I can pull it off. You know,
Mhm.
the more
I
I
thought it
talk
looked
about
good.
myself, the better it fits.
Mhm.
So, how's everyone doing out there? Good to see all y'all.
Look at John. He's not paying any attention at all. Right away, he's.
What was
reading
I
his
asked the
computer screen.
question?
No, but you got to be engaged, John. I mean, you're in the middle of
Yeah.
a show. You've got Billy Tucci here launching Thursday Night Live. You're the star. Some star. Look at you.
Sitting here listening.
In a daze.
Yeah.
Reading
Listen.
the computer. Looking at
Reading the-
pornography.
He's trying to get caught up.
You
with all
can't
the news.
prove that, you know.
I can prove it, John. I see it in your glasses. Pornography.
Pornography.
Huh.
Latent pornography.
Now, if I could just ask you, John, to please zip up and pay attention to William Tucci. William W. Tucci.
Yeah, because you got to pay attention because again, I wanted to cover Ike Perlman. I wanted to talk about John of what happened to him, how they railroaded him, how they chastised him, and how he rose above it and succeeded, which we'll get to. We'll talk about your career, John. But man, these events that just came in, I'm just curious if we are right now in a simmering cold civil war in this country. Right, of what's going on with the indictment of former President Donald Trump by what?
Well, it's clear that the Democrats want Trump to be our presidential candidate. They're under the impression that they can beat him pretty easily, and that's why they're going through this charade. Because he will not go to jail. You know, Patrick S. Tomlinson has spent more time in jail than Donald Trump ever will. You know, most of these people most of these perverts and criminals that are excited about this have definitely spent more time in jail than the great President Trump ever will. So one has to wonder, you know, there are dirty tricks. John, what do you think of this whole idea of mine? They're dirty tricks. They're trying to psych you out. They might be, you might be tempted to think they really just want him off the map. They want him off the playing field. Because they know they're going to lose to Donald Trump. But then again, think again and go, the Democrats are dirty, vicious, vile rats, pieces of garbage, human refuse, people who don't love this country or the people who live in this country. And so maybe what they're doing, Billy, is they're setting Donald Trump up to be a martyr. And so we'll choose him rather than somebody else. Who else would we choose?
Well, I think that it's a grave overreach of justice, especially since it was denied by he had said he wasn't going to pursue it. The statutes of limitations have come and gone on this. It's a misdemeanor if it's anything. If this occurred before he was running for president, so he would have had his if he'd paid for this, he didn't have any campaign money because he hadn't even launched his campaign yet. So he would have paid his own money to some hush-up money to some woman that he had slept with.
I've paid so many whores. I don't want any of it to come back to bite me. And Fat Alvin Bragg over there in New York, he better shut his mouth.
Yeah, well, I just wonder about the, people always talk about with Trump collusion and all, but this timing seems very suspect to me. That you have out of control inflation. You have the president going on a 20-day tour. I was watching the news today, trying to convince people that everything is going great. That don't believe the inflation that's burning a hole in your pocket, that makes your bank, that's draining your bank account. Please ignore the idea that China now has made a deal with Brazil and Russia about them going with Chinese currency over our currency, which basically could be the end of the US dollar. I don't know. You got war clouds on the horizon with China, with Russia, with Iran now. What are they now, 10 days or 7 days away from having the capability of housing and building a nuclear weapon? This is dangerous times. And you just wonder, is this something that, is this a major distraction? Jon Malin, presidential candidate 2024. What say you?
Well, I don't know. I'm not deep enough in it to tell you what all the grand conspiracy of this is, but I think as a spectator, I think it's exciting. I'm ready for it. To think that we could have a president get a mugshot, handcuffed. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I just think that's a shoo-in for Trump in the election, because when he ran the first time, he ran as a political outcast. When he ran the second time, it's hard to make the argument that you're a political outcast when you're president of the United States. And now when you're being arrested, I think that becomes an easier argument. So, yeah. I think the Democrats really have done Trump a favor if they go through with this. So, yeah, that's about all I got really to say about it. Fun times. May you live in exciting times. I think we're living in great times right now.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting, especially coming from a attorney general that still to this day has not made one arrest in the Jeffrey Epstein, trafficking, sex trafficking thing. Of all these people that are on this list, that they have the list, why haven't any of the names been released? Of the manifestos, of the flight manifestos, of all the people that gone down there? Why is there not one arrest in this thing where they're child trafficking, minors for sex with these rich, bloated fat potato assholes? It's pretty shocking, I think. Nobody cares, right?
What, the Epstein stuff?
No, I just find it.
Release the list, whatever. But even then, it's like, are you gonna vilify everybody that happened to show up and do some kind of legitimate business? I mean, that it's kind of dangerous territory. I think it's gonna get politicized, and people are gonna use it.
Some of those girls were of age, Billy.
Oh, really? Well, those then that's fine. Some.
I'm not making that argument. I'm not making any argument along those lines. But all right, go ahead.
Or they had fake IDs. It's not their
all
fault.
of them. So then that's why.
Then
why did Jeffrey Epstein? Why was he arrested? And why was Ghislaine Maxwell spending 20 years in prison?
She showed me her driver's license. It said she was 18, but she pulled it out of her Hello Kitty purse.
Oh, hello.
That's on Epstein Island. Sorry, John. John, I'll shut up. Billy was talking about out of control inflation, John. I think he was talking about me and you.
I don't know. This got me hot, and it got me all off subject and all. And again, hey, good luck to you, New York. Good luck to with this district attorney who's decriminalized violent crimes, yet he goes after a current the front runner of his political opponent's party.
It's a disgrace, Billy. I don't know how we come back from this. I'm like trying to just not think about it, because it really is an outrage. I'm personally absolutely furious, because Trump represents my voice for what I want to happen in this country, and at least 74 million other Americans who voted for him. And we have a political party that is doing everything they can to silence us on a micro level, and now on a macro level too, by arresting and imprisoning our presidential candidate 1 year away from the election.
Yeah,
and I can't imagine the country has fallen this far. We truly are in a fallen state. Beta.
I agree. I don't know. It just seems, and as you said, have we crossed, or are we on the verge of crossing the point of no return?
Trump should have locked her up. Look, that they called his bluff. He thought that he was going to run for president, and that's what you do. You vilify the opposing team, and then after you're president, everybody, it's the get along game. And he went in there ignorant, apparently. So He did not fulfill his promise to prosecute Hillary Clinton, and they saw weakness. They saw blood in the water, and they've eviscerated him publicly. And
they're laughing about that now, John.
Oh yeah,
they're like, let's watch this clip of Trump saying because you'd be in jail over and over again and beat off to it, and that's what they're doing today, right now. They're beating off to Hillary Clinton and Trump.
Unbelievable. I don't know. I find it. We'll see where we go from here, but this is not good. It seems like a serious, weaponization of the legal system. It does by those in charge. And I think it kind of also, Trump always came in, like you said, as an outsider. Then, well, you can't be an outsider because you now are a political insider because you've been president. So you can no longer say you're the outsider. I think this has really pushed him now firmly into outsider status once again, because he does kind of stand up, or he speaks for the average Joe, for the forgotten man, the forgotten woman, the ones that talk every weekend at barbecues and at dinner parties or restaurants or just at football games and basketball games on the sidelines, and all the parents. And they're saying now, we would never get away with this shit these people get away with. Look at the crimes of the people in power, what they get away with. Look at the Bidens with all the China, the millions of dollars they made off of China and all. It's there, but they won't refuse to do it. God forbid any of us do that. Hunter Biden, when he's having an affair with his dead brother's widow, she gives him a gun. She gives him his firearm, his pistol. Hunter Biden can't have a firearm. He can't possess one. It's against the law. What does he do? He dumps it in a garbage pail in front of an elementary school. And it was traced to him. But if any of the three of us do that, forget it. We're in jail for what, 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
So I hate to bring everyone down. I got a super chat, so maybe let's get back up to this.
John, are you okay?
Yeah.
No.
John's like, I so wish I didn't come on to this.
John is so mad at me.
For $5. When are you guys going to put your books on Fund My Comic website? Let's give Indiegogo less. Let's start giving Indiegogo less of our money, I believe. John?
So Fund My Comic is a new platform. It's created by, I believe, Luke Stone. John Dillard has been spreading the good word about this, I guess. And look, I mean, it's a smaller platform. That's not a problem in terms of I think directing the audience that way. But I mean, like I believe personally, I would put something on there either this year or next year, just to test it out. But it would be something small. I'd want to make sure that the money goes through and everything goes off without a hitch. I mean, Indiegogo, they're established. So this is something new. It's a new site. I mean, there could be glitches. So, either later this year or sometime next year, I'd be more than happy to put something over there. Because if we could direct everybody to there and then another comic skater is benefiting from that, I think that's great. If he's actually done the work and this thing is up to date on its security and all the minor things that need to work with a crowdfunding website, I have no problem going over there or a place like that. So.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sounds good for me too.
I co-signed Jon Malin.
Yeah.
John, are you mad at me because I'm here? I really feel awkward. No, Billy invited me. He said,
you guys are doing great. You guys are doing great. Keep it up.
You see what I'm saying, Billy? I know John. I've been streaming with John every single day since 2018. I totally know he's mad at me right now.
All right. Well, goodbye, Ethan. It's good to
not mad.
All right. I'll see you guys later. All right.
All right. No, let's talk, John. I wanted you to come on, talk about you. If you read what's in the description, that basically you were literally forced to become an outlaw publisher.
Okay. Yeah.
Right on your own. You've worked for Marvel. You started off humbly. You know what? Let's start from the beginning, John. For the people out there, excuse my tirade. It just seemed this news just hit me so within the 15 minutes of us going live. John, how'd you get started in comics?
Well, the first thing I did professionally was I worked for Image Central in California. I was a production assistant out there under Jim Valentino. Jim Valentino was a really great boss. Really appreciate him. Got a lot of love for that guy. And he was very kind to me while I was there. While I was out there, I ended up, meeting Rob Liefeld, and I've always been a huge Rob Liefeld fan. Even before I went out to Image Central, I was on like Rob's boards. I don't know if it was Miller World at that time, but Rob had message boards, and I'd be over there. Hey, Rob. Anyway, so eventually became an assistant for Rob. I would do light boxing and the sort for him. And I got my first full comic published through Rob, which was called Nitrogen. Nice. And there's 2 issues of it out there. That's crude, Jon Malin artwork, for the time, a lot of pinheads and wacky stuff going on there. But someone had it the other day, and I was holding up on stream. A lot of energy, a lot of nice design and stuff like that. Just coming onto the page. So it wasn't finessed or whatnot, but not bad.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a job at Marvel for a very quick stint. It was a fill-in for Cable Deadpool. This is, a handful of years later. And then that went to a 2-issue deal for Kevin Grievous when he was writing New Warriors. And then I went, comic wise, let's see, I was getting a project together with a guy named Mark Polton, a writer. Called Graveyard Shift. And then while I was working on Graveyard Shift, I'm sending those pages out to like Marvel and whatnot. And Rob got a hold of him at some point, and then he wanted me on for a run for Youngblood over at Image. So I don't
How
know what
did Rob intercept those pages, John?
Oh, it could have been either me posting them or Mark posting them. You
posted them on the internet and Rob saw them that way.
Could have been, it could have been, yeah. So I mean, that's a lifetime ago for me. So, anyways, but yeah, so I got a run for Youngblood over at Image Comics. Good stuff. That's where I kind of really started fine tuning my art. That's where I started crossing over into digital full time. So, like, if you bought the first couple of issues of that run, it's all darkened pencil. And then I would do digital cleanup. And then eventually I just came to the mindset. I was like, well, because I'm doing so many changes in post, if I just start drawing this into the computer, which I was very comfortable with at that time, then I'd save myself some time. So as it goes on, you see, you see it get slicker and cleaner and more refined. When you draw in the computer, you can draw on paper, you can draw backwards, or you can hold it in the mirror and whatnot. In the computer, you can flip the page, so I mean, more than half of any page that I draw is actually drawn backwards. So
no way.
Yeah. And then but it's continually, so
you use the mirror, you flip it over and
like Clip Studio Paint has a flip button. Oh, so you just hit the flip. So, and that's it. The flip.
Now I'm fascinated by this. How long have you been doing your art digitally?
Well, I think the Youngblood run was around 2012.
Wow, so you're a true pioneer in it then.
No, I don't
think that. Who else was drawing? Brian Haberlin was doing it, but
I'm not going to claim I'm first.
No, but you're one of the first. I'd have to. That I'm aware.
He wasn't nearly the first.
No. Yeah, I think way back in the day. Isn't that guy that you like, Ethan? Didn't he draw digitally?
Brian Bolin, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't do. Yes, he stopped drawing by hand entirely. There's no actual physical artwork from Brian Boland.
For how long?
It's like as long as he's been at DC, he draws digitally. Yeah, Jon Malin copied off of him.
Yeah, I've always been a big Bolin technique swiper. Yeah.
So that's great, man. So let me ask you a question. When did you decide, John, that you were going to destroy Mike S. Miller at all of his drawing contests every Friday night? When did that realization hit you? I know we're jumping forward a little bit in your timeline.
That's jumping forward a lot. I thought I was actually going through the timeline pretty clearly, but that's a big jump.
We'll go back.
A huge jump forward.
Yeah, we got a DeLorean here, a mental DeLorean. I want you to get in it.
Well, put a pin in that one. So, anyways, I did the Youngblood, and then I went back to working on Graveyard Shift pages. Eventually, I got hired in by Tom Brevoort to do Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts led into Cable, and then after Cable, then I came over and started doing work with Richard doing Jawbreakers. But there's a whole story at my time at Marvel, which is, I was getting, what I'd call, politically driven editorial interference. I was, being accused of not being able to do a girl's hair a certain way because it looked like dreads, and that would be cultural appropriation. I was getting told hips were being cocked too much. It was too sexified, I guess. So, and apparently, even though this was coming through my, at the time, editor, Alana Smith, I learned later on that some of these were actually just forwarded from Tom Brevoort, according to Tom. So, so it was making my time at Marvel, which I thought was going to be a nice, enjoyable deal, because all the time in between all those jobs, I'm working blue collar. I'm out, I literally built bridges for years, highway bridges and overpasses. So, so when I got there, I didn't even really kind of understand what was going on. I was kind of learning about it as I went about cultural appropriation. I was like, what? So by the time I was over on cable, actually the attitude was better. I believe my editor was my overseeing editor was Mark Panacea.
Oh
Yeah. So and that seemed to go really well. He had a junior editor, the guy that I was directly talking to. I can't remember his name though offhand. Sorry about that. To whoever that editor was, but things seemed to go much better, much smoother over there. I mean, I was able to draw boobs. Nobody was giving me any crazy notes about this stuff. That was until Bleeding Cool apparently caught wind of one of my covers where Blink had some enlarged breast. And the funny thing about the Bleeding Cool article was that they even said, if Malin's trying to stand out on the stands, well, he did it. And it's like, well, yeah, I am trying to stand out on the stands. I'm trying to sell my book. Like I want my book to sell more copies than anybody else's book. Yeah. Why should I water down any opportunity that I have to make money for this company to make somebody else feel good about, oh man, those boobs. So anyways, after that happened, there was an editorial change. Another guy came in. I think his name's Darren Shan. I believe that's who it was. And then it became an issue. All this previously approved artwork that I had done had become an issue. So he said he was going to go through and have all my art, my boobs shrunken down. Everything was going to be corrected. So he did that with the Blink character and then this Asian girl character that were in there as well. So I said I did not want that to happen. If that happened, I said I'm going to finish my agreement, which was to do 5 issues of cable. And I said, and then I'm going to be done with cable. I don't really have much interest in going forward this time because I just had enough of these stupid fucking idiot comments on my art. I'm only here to sell books. Like I'm trying to sell books. And if you look at what they're doing in the manga market, everything I've ever done is tame by comparison to what's going on.
Of course.
In the manga market. And the manga market is incredibly huge. And that's where we should be reaching. That's where the mainstream should be reaching for. And I'm not saying we should be moving into anything close to like pornography or anything like that. But if you can draw a chick and you can make her look sexy, well, guess what? Manga's been doing it nonstop for decades now. They're king. Manga's king. So, if Marvel and DC, let me say Marvel, if they're satisfied being in this low rank number 1 in America as an American publisher, but dead last in terms of the true mainstream of comics, that's fine. Stay at the bottom. And then look where we are now. Everybody's, starving. All the pros out there, the freelancers aren't getting paid shit. So, and more and more, this market is just being whittled down bit by bit, by morons, complete fucking morons. They don't care about making money for the company. They're ideologically driven. So, and then while I was working for Tom, and this was an important point too. When Alana Smith was my editor, she put that tweet out that said, "If you voted for Trump, win or lose, we're gonna remember." We're gonna. I'm paraphrasing, but essentially that was it. We're gonna remember.
Yeah, we know who you are. Yep, I remember that.
So, and I was directly under her, and I was just like, this is fucking bullshit. And I was even like 100% on board for voting for Trump at the moment, but as soon as that came out, because I have plenty of friends and family that are gonna vote that way, And I'm just like, you fucking bitch. So she, thank you, Alana. She radicalized me, and here I am. So I voted Trump. Both times. A third time coming up. Very excited for it. So,
Yeah,
but I mean, that's just the ridiculousness of what I was seeing at the time. Because you could look at the editorial tweets. Whatever that was, 16 to 18. 2016 to 18. You can look at editorial tweets, and they're all getting. They're all activists. Like there was another lady that was going, another editor, a female editor that was going out to, I think it was New York Comic Con, and she had posted, "Oh yeah, come over here, show your portfolio. But if you're a guy, maybe don't put," again, I'm paraphrasing, "maybe don't put so much effort into it because we got so many of y'all." And it's like, wait, what? You know what I mean? Like we're here for the town. This is this is a business. We're here to make money for people. But this, and then obviously there was a lot of anti-white bullshit going on through editorial tweets as well. I mean, just everybody, a lot of people in editorial at Marvel were radicalized. I can't speak for what was going on at DC at the time, but I can speak for Marvel at the time. People were getting radicalized. Tom Brevoort, I think, went public and told his own son to fuck off or something along the lines of that. Because he was voting, his son was voting
for Trump. He told us.
Yeah. So I mean, it was. This isn't something that is in people's head that there was some kind of discrimination going around. I mean, it was obviously there. You would have to be blind to ignore this stuff. And if the pendulum was the other way around, and if it was all conservatives in Marvel and they were laying out the same ideas and the same amount of aggressiveness that the left was doing, it would be an uproar. It would be. Comicgate would be the other way around. It was just, it was almost like not a nightmare scenario, but it was very disgusting what was happening. And a lot of people just turning blind eyes to it, or just happy to watch it from the sidelines. So
yeah.
I don't want to trigger John, but could you share my screen, Billy, please?
I'll share that right now.
Dr. Evil and Mini-Me. These are the two individuals in question that John is talking about by way of illustration. As you can see, Alana Smith has become kind of a ventriloquist dummy sitting on Tom Brevoort's lap. She's adopted his look. She's like, "I'm the son that you always wanted."
I thought that was a picture of him and his son at first. When you were talking about, he told his son to go fuck off, and here's a picture of him and his son, but apparently not. That's it. That's him and his mini-me. It's almost
that's
like
the son he wanted.
Yeah.
What's interesting about the few photos that I've seen is like when Alana Smith had just gotten into Marvel, she looked relatively normal, and as time went on, she started going more and more in this direction, and it was just like you just watch. I don't know. I don't know what it is. The just the corruption. You know what I mean? Going on, and I'm not sure who was corrupting who first, but they're definitely both corrupt people, in my opinion.
I have a great friend who actually worked for Bob Layton and kind of did the same thing, sort of turning into Bob Layton, the way he was dressing and grew his hair and everything like that. But I don't want to say.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I know.
And let me say that the sad thing about Tom Brevoort actually is that like he was one of, like, he was an actual nerd. He used to be the guy that if you need to know an issue of something, he was that brainy guy. And he could tell you, well, this happened in Fantastic Four. He served a real purpose in the the 90s, maybe the early 2010s. But the thing is like now all that history, all that stuff, it doesn't really matter because there's so many reboots and whatnot. So I mean, like his purpose at Marvel has really been like diminished. So you think he would push up for that with better editorial skills and learning how to motivate people into creating sales instead of creating separation, division. But he chose, division, separation over, making money for the company, I believe.
Well, you just wonder, and thank God, that the diversity hires like that thing going out to New York Comic Con to creators, is just limited to comics, because God forbid, that mentality takes over something like, I don't know who's going to be flying our airplanes, that they hire people by diversity rather than their skill. But of course they would never do that.
I'm hiding a cat butthole about to pop up here. So there we go. My
I
cats
had the same thing.
so.
I had the cat butthole in front of the
They're
camera.
invading my office. I was
Oh, I
telling
thought
you
you
about
meant Shane Davis. Oh shit! You
No,
meant an actual literal cat butthole. Sorry.
my cats used to know not to come into my office, but I moved my office upstairs now. There's new carpeting and everything. They think it's playtime because of all the action going on upstairs, downstairs last week. So they're trying to claim this as theirs now. So I'm gonna have to learn them.
Yeah.
So, but until then, they're gonna be here, and I'm probably gonna have to hop off camera here and throw them out in a minute, and then they're gonna try to get right back in.
All right, real quick. So then you basically here you're breaking your ass. You're doing your day job, right? Your blue collar work. You finally, I don't know how you make your way out. Did you make your way out to California? That's how you got started working for Image with Jim Valentino. Did you actually get on a plane with your savings? Go to
like how I got into Image Central. I didn't want to go into all the details. That's what I was trying to move through. But how I got into Image Central was, I was in Michigan. Literally, I mean, there was a imagecomics.com website. I don't know if I guess they probably still have that. But there was a little banner ad and it just said, "Hey, we're looking for interns." And I was like, "Ooh, intern." I was like, "Hey, that might be an opportunity for me to get a foot in the door." So I answered the ad and I got in contact with them. That I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in Michigan." They're like, "Oh, well, we don't really want anyone from out of state." And I was like, wait. I was like, "Don't count me out. I'll be there."
Yeah.
So I mean, I literally I hopped on a plane immediately and flew out there. Sat in for the interview and got hired in. And it was a 3-month unpaid internship, which would eventually lead into a paid job if I did well. And I was only supposed to show up, I think maybe 2 to 3 days a week, I think was the initial plan. But, I was driven and, I was there 5 days a week, every day, all day, trying to make myself as useful as possible because there was no way that I could possibly let this go. And, but I was married at the time. So my wife stayed in Michigan for 3 months. She and family were footing the bill largely just so I could get this one thing to really happen. Even to this day, it's like, if it wasn't for my wife, it wasn't for my family, I wouldn't even got that one foot in the door. So for 3 months, it was a struggle. It was me riding a bus every day. And sometimes walking. I walked home from Image, which is about 8. It was located in Orange, and I was living in Bray at the time. So I don't know what that is, a 6-8 mile deal. So whatever it took was my attitude while I was out there. It had to happen. I had to get a start going, and that was around 2002, maybe 2003. So but again, each step has its own story. I was trying to get through that stuff as quickly as I could.
Jay Bama fan. I didn't call him Jay Bama. I still think it's Jay Bama from Alabama. Malin's journey sounds almost biblical. It does.
So to kind of finish that up and get us back to all the Miller stuff, whatever. So after I had left cable, someone had asked me a question about the X-Men and if they, about them being SJWs. Like, aren't the X-Men SJWs?
That tweet, right? So that guy tweeted, and I remember that. And
this is like my infamous moment, apparently. I didn't think it was too outlandish what I was saying, but I said, well, actually, X-Men are more like the Jews in SJW Hitler's Germany, where they see ideologues rising, again, I'm going to paraphrase, separating people based on race and, the segregating the population like they did to the Jews.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't paint it in a good light for SJWs. I said, basically, that I said that I tried to put this out very carefully. I said, the SJWs are not Nazis, but the Nazis were SJWs. So, anyways, and that went off like a firestorm. Like I thought it would be a small little bump, Yeah. But I knew there was a bit of language in there that was going to fire people up. But what it really turned into, and Ethan kind of reminded me of this the other day because he was reposting this tweet, was that people read that somehow they read that as me saying that the X-Men were Nazis. I think it's like, how are you pulling that out? So anyways, but that was the fuel that everybody went. I mean, I had people from Some lady from Deep Space Nine trying to cancel me.
No
I still think of the opportunity one day to just show up when she's signing and say, "Hey, do you know me?" No, I don't. Oh, okay. Because you tried to get me fired. Really? Oh, yeah. Isn't that nice? You
just wonder in 1930s Germany, the ones who actually in 1930s Germany, the ones that actually dominate the media, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that who the social justice war. It's kind of interesting that I wonder if the Nazis in 1935 say members of the National Socialist Workers Party, if they would have been proud of the term social justice warriors, because I wonder what their social justice was. And it seems to be breaking down individual groups, demonizing certain groups that don't agree with them, that don't toe their line. And yeah, it seems to be a very, very interesting parallel.
There was a guy in Detroit. He was a preacher at the time. I think this was around 1930s, and I believe he had kind of a popular radio show for the time. But he ran a paper or something, or a pamphlet or something like that, and it was like he was basically pro-Hitler. And the pamphlet, it basically said it was social justice. It's pretty interesting. If anybody ever wants to go on a deep dive, and you can find that stuff out there. But I was like, that's a little creepy too. So I don't know. It's kind of the same old story. Just seems like, over and over again. Everyone, I think they come from a good point in their heart, but it all ends up being evil. So
John used to be in the diversity in comics chats. That's where I got to see him, and I felt like I was the only pro that was watching Richard C. Meyer and diversity in comics. And then here's John with his McFarlane-esque Spider-Man avatar that I think he drew. That was your Spider-Man, right? Mm-hmm. And he would show up there and he would just participate. And a lot of fans discovered John. A lot of people discovered John from being in the chat back then. And I did too. But
you'd be a DC guy back then. Now, did you know John I didn't before then?
No, I wasn't. I was paying zero attention to what Marvel was doing, even less what Rob Liefeld was doing. I was very, very busy doing my own stuff. But I like John quite a bit, and I do remember vividly the moment when I'm in bed and my phone starts going off. I start getting all these texts from people, and this was January 28th, 2018, and I'm like, what's going on here? And I've got all these texts from like Comicgate saying, you got to help Jon Malin. He's being canceled right now. You got to get out of bed and help him. I'm like, what do you mean he's being canceled? What happened? And I saw what he had tweeted. And I was like, well, that's a firestorm waiting to happen. That's pretty incendiary. And Richard C. Meyer also texted me and said, what can you do? You want to do something for John? So I got up and it was like 11 p.m. And I asked John if he wanted to come on and clarify his comments, thinking that he would walk it back a little bit, because I was still in this thing like, we got to mollify these people, see what we can do about mending bridges. And this is when John really got his reputation with fandom, this moment, because I said, you want to clarify? You want to rewrite your tweet? And John said, yeah, let me say it again, but like louder. And he he doubled down on his comments. He did not back down. He said, I meant what I said, and I'm not walking any of it back. You can go back and listen to it. It's fascinating.
I remember that.
It's terrible. At the time, I was barely, it was a terrible interview. I cannot go back and listen to it. But I haven't, I'm ashamed of myself in it. You were great. The point being, there's nothing to walk back. Saying that stuff, I still believe it to this day. I don't think anything I said was wrong or inaccurate. So I think that what the SJWs were doing then and now to this day, I think it's dangerous. I think it's very dangerous.
Why?
Yeah.
What are they doing and why is it dangerous?
Well, they're infiltrating industry. They're rapidly trying to, and in some cases successfully trying to change culture, the narrative, the definition of words. They're vilifying, in this case, white people, straight white men. They're trying to make them, the scapegoat for all society's ills, just like the Nazis did to the Jews. So, and then as that keeps creeping along, you know, who knows? You know, is there that shooting that happened the other day a result of 4 or 5, what, I don't know, 6 years of a strong narrative of hate against white people, Christians?
Yes.
So, there you go.
I'm prepared to answer that question.
It's dangerous. Yes, it's dangerous.
Okay, so that's what's dangerous. Do you think that your tweet was deliberately misunderstood and misrepresented?
Oh, sure.
Or do you think they just didn't understand?
No, I think a lot of those people that reacted to it were just activists. It didn't matter that there was somebody that they could, just try and cancel. Like, here's an opportunity to try to destroy a human being, even though what he said is perfectly reasonable to 99% of the people at the time. But all the fringe is going to come out and make it sound like it's, this crazy thing. But also, I mean, at the time, Bleeding Cool, did a story on that. And, and that's what really pissed me off at the time was Rich Johnston wrote an article on me and tried to connect me to a white nationalist website. Because when I worked for Marvel and I did Thunderbolts, I did a billboard in the background of one of the, like, this flashback scene. Marvel had this storyline. I can't remember what it was called, like Pleasant Hill or Pleasantville or something like that, which was basically all these supervillains are living in this town, but they all get different identities. They don't know who they were. And, so I was like, well, this is very much like Dark City, a movie from the 90s. So I put in a billboard, Shell Beach, which is a plot point in Dark City.
Right.
And that was all I ever cared about. But anyways, go 2 years later, when, now I've put this tweet out. Now what that was a white nationalist dog whistle, according to Bleeding Cool. So they said, because I was referencing Dark City, which people, I guess, lump in with the Matrix. This white national site was putting like the red pill and the blue pill, and that became a white nationalist thing at the time. And then they also mentioned somewhere in that article something about Dark City. So anyways, these were 2 movies that you could not enjoy, apparently, if you're, if you lean conservative or, whatever, and not be vilified for it.
Now,
you imagine that? To say that you like the Matrix, if you happen to not be a leftist, you imagine that? Now you're a Nazi.
Now, did they reach out to you? Was it Rich Johnson or someone reach out and say, hey, kind of getting this vibe? Someone alerted us to this. Alerted us. Look at this. And was this what you mean by posting this thing about Dark City, or they just run with it?
No. Rich Johnson was aggressive, and I was actually tweeting at him at the time. I think they did an article of that. But basically, I was telling him, he was I think I said you suck. I was just, the whole thing was ridiculous. And then I believe it was that same article, that same narrative was carried over onto like CBR or something, like Comic Book Resources. So, at least in my sphere, but I understood CBR and Newsarama, Bleeding Cool to kind of be like the big 3 of comic book news. So. Anyways, but yeah, it's I was just like, wait, don't you guys want to go into this? No, they really didn't care. They didn't care at all. Again, I think that Rich Johnson, I think a lot of people that are already into the mainstream comic book media were already activists. So it didn't matter. Nothing mattered. All that mattered was here's an early chance for us to try to take somebody out. So let's do it.
Well, the good news is, I guess that you were covered in CBR. I'm sure that they were more than happy to have a headline article with you after you passed your $1 million on crowdfunding, right? With your self-published comic, right?
Right. Yeah. No one's ever mentioned.
Oh no, none of that.
Yeah. So they don't want to know that people are becoming successful without their help. If you can become successful without CBR, Newsarama, Bleeding Cool, then that really kind of makes them feel inadequate. So they're not gonna go out there and promote independent creators out here actually becoming successful. Yeah. So far I've raised like $1.3 million on my campaigns. And that's not even counting the Jawbreakers, which went to, I think it raised like $400,000, something like that. So
you're closing in on your projects, or closing in on $2 million for independent, self-published, creator-owned projects.
Yep.
Without the help of not getting any mainstream press. I mean, let me tell you something, John. If you're riding your bicycle and you hit some kid, with it, and you kill some kid, or you run over a puppy, you're gonna be splashed front page on that kind of news.
Yeah, anything to bring me down. Yeah, they'll make an article on that. Sure.
Yeah.
Let's just hope I don't do that.
No, don't do that. Well, shit. Now everyone knows why you're so pissed off all the time.
Yeah, he has every right to be pissed off.
Yeah.
Let me take you on a tour, Billy, because you weren't here, and then John, you're gonna hate this, but I got to do this so that people understand where you're coming from. Remember this guy here, Billy? If you could share my screen,
I will. Hang on. This is also new to me. I feel awful. Hang on. Sorry. Hang on.
No problem.
Cancel. There you are.
This is Kieran Shiak, otherwise known as Sandwich Boy. Remember him, John?
I remember the name. Yeah.
Well, he used to work for the Comics Alliance website, which went out of business. They were woke. They went broke. But unfortunately, everybody that worked there was an SJW activist. And because they had gathered all kinds of clout and influence being Comics Alliance, they all found work other places. Not really Kieran Shiak, although he still had a lot of influence in the early days of Comicgate. He tried to do this T-shirt that said "Nazi nerds F off." He said he would like this T-shirt. He said, "I made this because I wanted to own one myself. It doesn't have a swear word on it because there are kids at Comic-Cons. If you're offended by this, you're probably a Nazi nerd, et cetera, et cetera." This guy was, definitely an activist, deeply involved in canceling myself and Jon Malin. Here's something here from Gavia Baker Whitelaw. He's responding. He's saying, "Gavia is one of my favorite culture writers, and making a comparison between Jawbreakers and the many, many failed projects that popped up."
Are you sharing this? We can't.
Oh, I'm not sharing it. I'm sorry. I gotta do this right.
You want me to remove the other one? What do you want me to do?
No. You're good. It's up there now. Yeah, I got to do it. Gavia is one of my favorite culture writers, and making a comparison between Jawbreakers and the many, many failed projects that popped out of Gamergate is a good reason why. So this guy is sharing the media efforts of this writer right here, who took it upon herself to cancel Jon Malin and Richard C. Meyer. Do you understand how this works? You've got SJW activists in the mainstream who are friends with people in the media, and together they work to get a narrative out there that destroys people like Jon Malin and myself. Here's Gavia Baker Whitelaw. An indie comic is following the Gamergate playbook by monetizing alt-right nerds to the tune of just $250,000, John. This was early on in the day, as you can see right here. So there's a whole article here talking about the strategy. If you've seen people tweeting about Comicsgate and a crowdfunded comic being dropped by its publisher, this is what's going on. And she wrote this article here: indie comic Jawbreakers canceled due to Comicsgate links. This is a person who's being so John, talk about this a little bit.
Where was this published or streamed? Where was it? What website is this?
I'm not sure what website it's on. Parsec, it's called. I don't know. I think it's called Parsec here.
Okay, how original.
Yeah, so the whole Jawbreakers project came about after I did that tweet. Actually, I believe early on people were pointing Richard out to me because I was working on cable, and so it was in my style. I guess he was a Liefeld fan. Oh, you should go check out this guy. And then after the cancellation happened, Richard gave me a call and asked if I would work on Jawbreakers. So it was a book that he was writing, and I was already aware of Richard. I was already aware of what was going on, and at the moment, at that time, I told him, I'm like, well, give me a little time. I'm going to think about it, because I felt like in terms of comics, this was kind of like a big move. I was like, and Richard had said, he's like, I'm controversial, you're controversial. Together we can, maybe do something. And I took a couple days and thought about it, and then I was like, all right, let's do it. So we started working together on Jawbreakers, made that happen, put it out on crowdfund. I think we ran I don't know if we ran the entire campaign before the real action kicked in exactly, but Richard at some point had lined up a deal with Antarctic Press to publish Jawbreakers. So we were doing the crowdfund, and we were going to go into comic shops, and we're going to do everything the way that you're supposed to make comics, especially if no publisher, or people out there don't want anything to do with you. Well, you're going to have to do it on your own.
Not a cost to the publisher, because the book will be done, right? By the time it gets to them. Okay, yeah.
Yep, yeah, it would have been easy money for Antarctic Press to publish this book. They wouldn't have to worry about whether or not we're going to have the money to do it or not. So my understanding was the deal was pretty much laid out. And then right around the time that our campaign was ending, I think that's when they really kind of came in. Mark Waid gave a call to the main guy at Antarctic Press, or tweeted something about the hounds of, he's the only thing between that guy and like the hounds of hell coming in to basically ruin Antarctic Press if they publish Jawbreakers. And I guess whatever Mark Waid, the writer of Kingdom Come and big shot over Marvel and DC, whatever he said to the publisher, I believe it actually made him get emotional, teary-eyed. Because he thought his entire business that he's operated for X amount of years was about to come crumbling down because of this one move. So he told Richard, we're not going to be able to publish you anymore. And so that left us kind of in a lurch.
Now, and I wanted to bring this up too, because like I said, we're going on 6 years now ago. So a lot of people, CG has grown so much that I'm sure there are people out there that are not fully aware of this. Right now, we have 571 people watching. Thank you, guys. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell for notifications for us. We have a lot of fun on the Pop XP. Guys, we were coming on 600 shows where we, the vast majority, I might say 80% of our shows are about comics creators and helping them, indie creators, about their books and all, and pushing their books. So,
by the way, if you want to get John's book that he's talking about right now, sorry to interrupt, Billy. I have it pulled up on eBay. There are people selling them right here. I mean, I don't know why any of these are still available on eBay at all. Their prices are pretty reasonable. But if you missed Jawbreakers, you're hearing about the landmark, groundbreaking Comicgate, the first Comicgate book ever, and it's all Jon Malin. It is beautiful work. I did the cover. It's got a cover from me. This is a prize for anybody's collection. I would recommend going to eBay, and it looks like there are about 12, 15 copies available here. Find one that's at a low price, good shape, and snatch it up. You really, it's worth owning this. It's worth reading this. It is absolutely historic. Some of John's best work too.
Yeah. And, one of the things that drove me nuts was I believe it was Mark Waid did like a crowdfunder because there became a lawsuit. They were arguing a tortious interference. So Mark Waid did like some kind of GoFundMe. I don't know what it was, but one of the people that backed his censorship effort was Neil Gaiman, who's always been proclaimed to be anti-censorship. So that was kind of revealing to me about the type of people that are in the industry. Again, I'm coming from blue collar. I'm not on the ins and outs of the deep knowledge of who these people really are and how they really treat each other. So I really found out that a lot of people in the comic industry are pretty vile. When I saw Neil Gaiman do that, who I was never a fan of, but I respected because again, I thought his ideas were anti-censorship. But the moment there's something being censored by the mainstream in a big effort against an indie publisher and indie creators, Neil Gaiman is one of the first ones to sign up to watch and support their censorship. So fuck Neil Gaiman is basically what I'm getting at. But yeah, I mean, there was a whole drama that went on for a good long while. Joe Quesada had a 3-day Twitter battle with us. And again, that was kind of eye-opening to me. I'm like, why is I think he was the CCO at Marvel at the time, the chief creative officer, my understanding is kind of a liaison between the publisher and, the Hollywood stuff going on at that time. Why would he climb down from, that high of a ladder to get down into the gutters of publishing? But he did. Apparently he was bored, and or he may be an activist as well. And so he went and had 3-day Twitter battle with me, Ethan, Richard. Just the entire thing was like, it's like if I wasn't living it, I'd be like, none of this could have really been happening. This is so silly. But it did happen. It did happen. I watched Neil Gaiman become a pro censorship piece of shit. And Jawbreakers.
Even now, by the way, John, not to cut in again, but even now, even if you're like, you know what, I don't like Comicgate. Neil Gaiman was behind the illegalization of the Internet Archive, which is basically a free library on the internet for people who are poor or just researchers, people who want to read books, can't afford to read books, people who just want to listen to a 100-year-old jazz record. All of this stuff is stored on the internet. Neil Gaiman was an activist who said, shut it down because we're not getting our royalties, us authors. Piece of shit. Absolute piece of shit. Anybody who was in the arts, who supported the close down and the illegalization of the Internet Archive, and by the way, it was ruled in their favor. It's going to be off the internet soon. Should be absolutely disgusted by that. Regardless of how you feel about Comicgate, that's who this guy is. Terrible.
Well, Cryptic Comics, thank you for that $2 super chat. I tweeted John's tweet and tagged you guys. Thank you for that. I remember that tweet. The one that started it all down your primrose path.
Now what was the pin
original tweet?
So anyway, so now I'm in Comicgate. I mean, there's.
Well, now you get pushed to something. Now you get pushed.
Yeah, and I'm not
into that political. And
I'm not even.
I've never had a political conversation with you. So
I'm not even sure if when I did that, if it was even being called Comicgate. I think it was right around the same time that this word kind of started popping in. But again, I'm not the most plugged in on what everybody's doing, at any given moment. So, so we launched our book. Then Ethan launched his book and did tremendously better than we did. We did 400,000. Ethan did over 1 million, I believe, on that first
538, John. I didn't do tremendously better.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's still 100 and some odd thousand dollars more. Ethan's $1 million man on these campaigns now. So he's incredible. But anyway, so once people saw that there was a avenue, and just to back up for a second, we had our goal when we did that crowdfund. We did our goal at like $8,000, I believe, Richard and I. So if we hadn't made that money, like everybody would have been, the winds would have been taken out of everybody's sails, because they would have been like, this is not the way to go. Don't talk about your politics ever again, because look what happened to the Jawbreakers guys. These guys didn't even make $8,000. If that would have happened, that would have been a huge blow to everything that's out there right now. Right. Thankfully. Oh, and also originally Richard put the campaign on Kickstarter. That did not go through. That was like the first kind of cancellation. And then we went to Indiegogo. So when people knew about that cancellation, and I don't even know how much they knew about that, because Richard was kind of embarrassed by it at first. He's like,
now with Kickstarter, because I remember that, that with the big Kickstarter thing back in the day, was that it was not even, it was just not even accepted, or it was accepted and then they took it down if somebody complained?
I don't know exactly. Richard put it out there, and I think he had some kind of a mention of, I don't know if it was like in a pre-campaign, because I don't think it ever launched, but I think he had some mention about social justice in there or something like that. And they're like, nope. So
no, it wasn't that. They got complaint. First of all, there were activists, again, the same people who were writing those articles about John, who were supporting those people. Supporting those media types, they mass flagged and reported Richard C. Meyer and Jon Malin's campaign. These guys are bigots, and you don't want them on your platform. And what happened was, you guys got a little letter. I got to refresh John's memory about it. See how we suppressed it all? You got a little letter about it.
I've moved on largely on everything.
It's infuriating. People should understand what happened. John was a big part of history, I believe. This is going to be, when it comes to the arts, this era is going to be looked back on with absolute disgust and fury, I think, by everybody. It's a disgusting period. But they sent a note. Kickstarter said, sorry, we're not going to publish this because it doesn't meet our community standards. And Richard C. Meyer wrote back and said, it's some G.I. Joe guys fighting a giant monkey. Like, there's no language in it. There's nothing wrong with it. Please
Yeah.
review it again. They said, I'm sorry, our decision's final. No, we found out that it was the SJWs behind it. Richard decided he was going to keep that secret. And he came to me and he said, what do we do? I'm just going to say that Indiegogo was a better platform. My Andrea was researching all of this stuff. We had decided to go to Indiegogo anyway because it was 5% as a better platform. But Richard decided to go there too, and he kept that secret because he felt, and I think rightly so, that if the SJWs knew they had that kind of power over us, while John and he were still like newborns at this, you know what I mean? They're still in the fucking nest. If they knew they could just crush us like that, they'd do the same thing at Indiegogo, and we'd never get anywhere.
It would be a mob mentality, like a riot. They would
immediately, wherever we went, it would be a problem. We would have no way of getting started. But Richard told somebody named Holly, remember HP? She made all these fucking, what did she do? She used to make little art collages, HP Collage or something like that.
Okay.
Told her. And she went and she told Richard Pace. She went and told like B. Clay Moore. And it got out to the SJWs that they'd had a victory, but not until John and Richard were firmly cemented over on Indiegogo. And I want to show an image here again that just, you want to talk about being under this kind of pressure. And John was under tremendous pressure all the time. Okay.
He's
over
ready.
This.
Okay.
I'm
guys,
ready.
I know we have a couple of super chats. I'll get to them in a second, but I'm just fascinated by this and I'm infuriated and fascinated at the same time. And I have so many questions to ask about it. And I'm starting to get this whole night's giving me agita. So let's
it's crazy, isn't it? But I want you to just be in awe for 1 minute here because you got Kelsey Shannon here who says he predated John, but Kelsey didn't go through shit. Okay. It was all Jon Malin. Sorry, Kelsey. Under all this pressure, okay, and like desperately, we needed to succeed. Jon Malin somehow, I don't know, I sometimes when I'm drawing, I feel like I have God and angels on my shoulder. When I do something really good, I'm inspired. Somehow John produced this. See where my cursor is here, the image all the way to the right. This was what people thought was the cover. It isn't. It's page 1 of the book. It's just page 1. And lit the fucking internet on fire. I don't know how John did this, but this let everybody know that we were going to be just fine. And this was an amazingly inspired, exciting piece of artwork about these new characters that launched the Comicgate era. By the way, Jawbreakers Lost Souls, it's on eBay. Go get one if you don't have it yet. John, how did you do this? Like, what were you feeling when you drew this? Did you have any memories of this? Like, what was going through
because when we were getting this together and because of the importance of it all, I said, whatever we put on this campaign, it's got to be incredible. It's got to be, a $200,000 thing. Like I got to draw, like I want $200,000 out of this campaign. So I spent a good amount of time on there. Also, shout out Incredible Colors by Brett Smith. So just so everyone knows, the image on the far left is Kelsey. The two on the right are mine. The middle one is just a further on interior page. So you
were in the fight of your creative life here.
Yeah.
You had to draw your ass off to survive.
Yep.
And to provide
just like Michael Jackson dancing on the hood of the car at the trial. You better dance. Basketball players, you better slam dunk. You better go out there and let everybody love you. Because this is going to be a bumpy time in your life. So.
John didn't realize it, but he was drawing so that everybody that followed him would be able to survive. Ooh. See, without John doing this image, none of this would have worked.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have worked at all.
You, like I said about inspiring to become an outlaw, is because you literally galvanized a large segment of the comic buying public or former comic buying public who loved comics and felt that they were forgotten, they were left behind, or they were insulted daily in the pages of the comics supposedly spoken by the heroes that they love for years and years, and with this new thing, and now they see something maybe in themselves too, is with this. Yeah, this is the kind of comics I like. That's what I got. What people came to me again. I didn't have to fight through any of this stuff. I've been part of this for 4 years, I think, only. So,
Yeah, the whole point of me backing up to this anyways was just to point out that there was nothing offensive about this book. There was no reason for it to be, there was nothing controversial in the material. There was no reason for anybody to ever, Mark Waid, Neil Gaiman, to ever step in and feel like they needed to keep anyone safe from this material. Because it really is, it's a G.I. Joe fighting kaiju book. That's the entire thing. It's, I don't know, 20, 30, 48 pages, I think. So, because that's kind of where we are, when we do a crowdfund, 48 pages.
Sure,
so,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was nothing there that should have ever, and not that anything should really be tried to blown out. I mean, you really have to cross a lot of fucking lines, before anybody should be like, we don't want pedo shit out there, No. But this is as vanilla as it comes, and just because of politics, that's it. And that's kind of
you were discriminated
against. Just because people want to support Trump or they want to be conservative in their views, that was enough reason for the hounds of hell of Mark Waid to come out here and censor independent comic book creators. And and that, take that away. That should be the warning to everybody, guys. If they don't like you, you could go through the exact same stuff we did. So understand these people are not going to be your friends. They're only going to be your friends as long as you're useful to them. That's it. So this could be you. This could be you in 2 years, 5 years. Neil Gaiman could be supporting another creator that's trying to cancel you for doing a completely vanilla comic book. But you might have voted conservative.
Right.
And that's all the justification they need, really.
It'll happen to him too. It's not just that Neil Gaiman. See, J.K. Rowling thought she was safe. She's way bigger than Neil Gaiman could ever dream of being, and she's been canceled. It's going to happen to Neil too. It'll happen to everybody. Eventually they will find you because it's so fun to destroy people anonymously from the internet.
Right.
So,
for me.
John, I remember I have warm, happy memories of being in those chats of Diversity in Comics, those live streams, and the one where he finally revealed this artwork. And I think he just showed a piece of it at first. I can't remember how that all worked, but I just remember him saying, this comic book that we're talking about by this artist that we all like, and he didn't say it was you yet. And when he revealed this piece of artwork, the chat, and by the way, the chat was small. It might have been 300 people at the time. It was still, Comicgate was new. The chat just lit up with excitement. Jon Malin, I'm announcing Jon Malin is going to be drawing Jawbreakers Lost Souls. And it was the first book of the comic book era. And this right here is, this did it, man. This made it all possible. So, that's why I love you, buddy. I wouldn't have made it without you. I saw this and went, oh, we can actually do this. I've been working for DC for so long. We can actually do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so now Comicgate, and no, I didn't really think there was going to be a lot of follow-up. I didn't think that we were going to be really kind of setting and blowing open doors or anything like that. I thought what we were doing was, really kind of just taking a stand and making a point. But then, it did open doors. I mean, it because of the success, and once we went past that $8,000 mark, we were moving to $100,000, then $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 over the period of that campaign. It was incredible. And through that success, and with Ethan coming up and doing a slam dunk right next to us, that really created Comicgate in terms of the publishing end. That solidified creators coming over here and doing work. So now there's, I don't know, hundreds of campaigns that have come out now that have been Comicgate. A lot of people, and year after year, we see these people, the ones that stick with it. We've seen them grow. First maybe they get 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. It's only gotten better, for the people that are really committed, and that as long as you have talented artists, and if your writing is, talented as well, you should be able to grow here. And then, obviously we encourage everybody to get up on YouTube, build a platform, and get talking to your customers, get talking to your audience, bang some pots and pans, make some noise, and be entertaining. And hopefully they'll come out there and support you when it comes time to put a book out there to the tune of, 50,000, 100,000. My biggest campaign so far, was probably Graveyard Shift 3 and or Godlike. So right around $250,000 range for those campaigns.
And you do your campaigns for what, 60 days, and then that's it, right? You don't go into
I've only ever done my campaigns for 60-day periods. So everybody try to keep all that excitement bundled up into a short amount of time, and it seems to work. So I'm on par with other creators like Shane Davis. Ethan's nodding his head. I'm on par with other creators like Shane Davis. So we make about relatively the same amount of money, though he goes into man and does it over a period of like 9 months. So, he takes 9 months. I do it in 2. So, it seems to work out. Yeah, and then I offer a second chance campaign down the road. And then those tend to make 75 to 120 ish, I guess, somewhere in that range. So, it's all worked out in the end. Good for you. I'm very happy with where I am.
Well, good for you, buddy. We're coming on almost an hour and a half, and I know you got to get ready for the Jack show, but I got a few super chats to read, John. All right,
please. Yep, I got till 10:30. Then I got to
split. Good. The real Sean Crummel for $5. Thank you so much. Evening, gentlemen. Thinking of launching a campaign in the next few months. How critical is establishing an LLC to crowdfunding a comic? Hail, chat.
I don't know if it's critical, but you should get one. Why not?
Yeah.
Get in there. Other people get an S corp, I think it is, or something like that. So, but yeah, I just have an LLC. So,
yeah, the same thing with me. I mean, I've had mine for almost 30 years, so I don't. I've always had mine, but I think we're an S corp as well. Not really sure if as John said, if it's critical.
John, go ahead and get it. Go ahead and get an LLC. I got mine through, I think it was LegalZoom or something like that. It didn't take very long. It wasn't too difficult. If I can do it, you can do it. So just go get something through LegalZoom.
And going with the mentality like these guys right here, and like me, I've been lucky enough that you want to become a professional. You want this to be your life. You want this to be your career. There's nothing better, right, than seeing that comic when it comes out, when it comes in, and it's done and it's printed. You can smell it, and also, the most rewarding part of for the whole crowdfunding experience, the whole Indiegogo, the whole Kickstarter experience, is actually shipping those books out to people. And then you'll see a name and you write a little something on the box because you're like, oh my God, hey, thank you so much for supporting me. It's an amazing feeling. And it's like I said, it's so rewarding meeting people at the cons. If you go to them, it's pretty cool. That in some way that you could change someone or inspire someone, like we're getting these a lot of chats here, John, that you kicked it off in your, and dare I say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but desperation, you had no plan B.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, look, I was going to finish Graveyard Shift one way or another. I wanted to be sure that I got the volume 2 of that finished for Mark, for the co-creator. So, I mean, that, and then after Jawbreakers, that's what we did. We launched Graveyard Shift Volume 1, which was already drawn because right up till the time that I worked at Marvel, I had already finished the Volume 1, but I wanted to be able to get Volume 2 done. I think that was the bare minimum of what we needed for that story to work. So now we've hired other artists to come in, and we're at Volume 4. Volume 5 is about to start production. So I've been working on my part of the script for that. Mark, is obviously the writer, but I work over in the second draft for that stuff. So that's heading out right now. Actually, I brought an editor, Clayton Barton. So Excellent. That script is in his email right now. So he's going to really help guide alongside me. So I'll be credited as editor-in-chief, and then he'll be editor. So he's going to take some of that weight and basically making sure pages are coming in on time. So that's going to be the bulk of it. So
now with Godlike, it's closed. We are going to see a Godlike Second Chance.
We're going to have a Second Chance campaign. It's going to launch probably May or June. So the closer, I'll solidify a date for that. What I want to be sure my previous project, Omega Storm, gets out there. That has, we're almost at color. We're working on colors right now. I think Tommy, the artist, has maybe 9 to 12 pages left to go on it. So we're so close with that. I'm just really trying to make sure we get that out. We get that one delivered as quickly as possible. And then right behind that, we'll be fulfilling Godlike is the plan.
I love this page, you son of a bitch. Look at this. Oh
Thank
my
you.
God, gorgeous. Love it. We got a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. I wasn't present for the birth of CG. Love hearing the deep lore. Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was
By the
crazy.
way, all of the Jawbreakers Lost Souls are selling out on eBay. I've been watching.
Oh,
Excellent.
Yeah, no. Super chat. It from He's a Monster. Thanks, buddy. It says, if I'm a writer, how many artists would I need to get? If I'm a writer, how many artists would I need to get my story visualized?
One reliable one.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck. But you know what? We got a great network here. There's a great network. You know, the internet is an amazing, amazing oasis of creativity.
Hire Donald. He'll draw anything. He's like Mikey.
Oh, there you go. We got another one. Is this Australian? Australian $5 super chat? Or Austrian? I don't know. Thank you. Article about Jawbreakers was from the Daily Dot, authored by awful SJW Javier Baker Whitelaw. That's a cool name.
There you go.
I'm kind of jealous of that name, Baker Whitelaw. In May 2018, PSF Neil Gaiman. Better back up soon.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I love the fans. They're all, like you said, the Malin militia, Ethan. I love all the people that I've met through you guys. I consider you both great friends. I have a lot of respect for you guys. Personally, I've never heard any kind of anti-Semitic, anything like that's ever come out of you. I find it repulsive. And I'm really, really pissed off about the fact that you have these journalists that would just run with these articles and stuff, or go after you, and not want to confront you as a true journalist should do, and to say, well, I'm seeing this. Am I reading this right? That never seemed to be the case. They saw blood. They saw something they wanted to be true. And then they just, like you said, they created a brush fire. And
Billy, it wasn't that they wanted it to be true, or they didn't confront us. They were afraid. They deliberately set out to propagate lies in order to destroy people who shared beliefs that went against their narrative, their own belief system, and get us out of the way. They did that deliberately. It wasn't like, I hope this is true. I wish this were true. It was, we know this is a lie, and we're doing it anyway.
Jeez, yeah, they're disgusting, repulsive, disgusting, evil people. I got a Dillard Dross for $10 super chat. That ain't cheap. Thank you. Work under the gun that needs to be great gives you the best chance to create something legendary. You're all doing legendary tier work out here. Thank you so much. And it's true, because I have experienced that. I've experienced a lot of pushback, but I don't give a fuck, because I'm teen sensation Billy Tucci. I don't care. And like you guys standing out there like brick walls. And I remember, Ethan, when you were going through all this, I wasn't really active in the Twitter or anything like that. I kind of didn't have fucking time for it. Still don't have time for it, but now I'm learning. And again, I'm fascinated by all this.
You stood by me, Billy. You were just like, you would be seen with me at conventions in the heart of all this, which a lot of people wouldn't. So I'll never forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. Never. If anyone says any shit, I mean, we've had, Debbie's had conversations with other pros that just said stupid stuff, and it's the same stuff over and over again. And, Debbie too, we love you guys. We do. We consider you guys family, and just the things that they would say with no basis in fact, just like this running with the articles and
sharing hate, spreading hatred.
Deb go after them. Deb would have conversations and how firm she is, little 5'3" of her, and shut them down. Like, oh, well, I really don't have, personally, I don't have a problem with Ethan, but well, then shut the fuck up. So Jon Malin, apparently people have a lot of problems with, though.
Me too.
John,
I'm one of them.
Well, that's what I wanted to add. I said back then it was very volatile. Like to even be associated with us was, that was kind of dangerous to people's careers. So for Billy to be out there, that's incredible. Things are a little bit better now. I think in terms of people coming over here again, the growth, the money, the success, I think has convinced people that they're not so bad. So whatever the case may be, we've grown, and for being as despised as and vilified as we've been through the mainstream comic book media, they still haven't taken us down yet. So
that's right.
So we got to stay strong. We got to keep doing this stuff and keep being successful, because they hate that above everything else. To see that we're not living in the street poor and dying. So, because I really do think that is ultimately what they'd like to see, is one of us die and just be completely destroyed. So when we have people out there like that new Joe Glass incident where he used to shit on us for caring about the customer and trying to run good business, and now he's on Twitter talking about how his business is in the ground, I do take satisfaction out of that. So
well, that's good. But again, and rightly so. I mean, and the thing is, as John said, look at these campaigns that grown. Look at Mandy Summers, how Mandy has grown from her first Work the Wizard campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Charlie's London, right? Look at her with that.
Mm-hmm.
I hope she submits that book. I hope she submitted that book to the Eisner Awards. Look at Reenie, kicking ass.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just campaign blowing old pros like Aaron Lepresti out of the water. As much.
No, I didn't say
all
it.
of
You
our
did.
manly chagrin. The men have got to step up. No,
Everyone go back. Wraith of God by
Wraith of God.
Aaron Lopez.
That's right, Lopez, a man called, or he'll come after you if you see his introduction on the Kings. But gentlemen, love you guys. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Billy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm glad I brought you in, because you steered me back on, because about 15-20 minutes before we went live is when I saw the whole thing about the indictment of a former president.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. We'll talk about that any other time. Let's talk about Jon Malin and Comicgate. And it's one of my favorite subjects, man. John stood tall. He's always been morally, due north every single time, and he's a great guy.
Yep, and thank you for that $5 super chat on Hinge. I think that's not a bad way to go out. Thank you so much. It says we're Comicgate, and we are strong and growing.
I think that's supposed to be read like the Flintstone vitamin.
I thought it said we are strong and grooming.
And growing.
Oh, growing, not grooming. Okay.
No, not grooming. Never groom. Guys, thank you so much. Everyone out there, thank you, guys. Please subscribe to the Pop XP, me and Al Scala's channel. Billy, this is Thursday Night Live with Billy Tucci, having a lot of fun. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Check out the Jack show. What's the Jack? Whose channel is Jack?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Billy, if I may, everyone check out Cyber Frog by Ethan Van Sciver right here. Incredible work, incredible frog comic book. If you like frogs with gun arms, survival stories, incredibly detailed. Ethan is being hailed as one of the greatest writers of our time. So check that out. And also, I'll be over on Jack's show in 30 minutes. I believe it's on Anna's channel this week. So Anna, that Star Wars girl, just type that into your YouTubes and it should bring you over there. So just a lot of degenerate humor, but that's what we're good at. So thanks for having me on, Billy. Thanks, Ethan, for popping on here. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, proud of you guys. And again, sorry for my tangent and getting off subject. It's part of my ADD. Thanks, everybody. Guys, thanks a million, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on Pop XP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the Pop XP and over on Instagram at the Pop XP. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Hate it.